Hello and welcome to another live English lesson at AM Language with me, Richie. I hope you're all doing well today. And there we go. I think that camera angle is a little bit better. Yeah, it is Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, and next week is the first week of December. So lots of things to look forward to. I'm just going to see if you should be able to find the video. Excellent. Okay, so I can see it, so that means other people can also see it as well. Leondina, welcome to the lesson today. Buon pomeriggio and good afternoon. I hope you are doing well. So far this week, we have looked at Monday, we looked at places, people and places, and this was under modal verbs of can and will. Yesterday, we looked at health and medicine, and we looked at could and would. Today, we're looking at directions and places. And here we're going to look at should and ought to. Tomorrow, we're going to look at crime with modal verbs of direction, such as might, of deduction, which is might, may, and must. And then Friday, we will have a look at all the modal verbs that we will have looked at this week. Roberto, good afternoon. Buono pomeriggio. I hope you're doing well. And who else is with us? Irina F. Good afternoon and privyet. Welcome to today's lesson. Evelina, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson and thank you for joining. Lovely to see you here. As always, guys, please make sure that you follow the lesson in the live chat and that you comment in the live chat, because that way I get to see if you guys are able to follow, understand, and please tell me if I speak too quickly as well. Now, as always, there's going to be something for everybody in this lesson. Whether you are elementary, upper intermediate, you name it, there will be something for you to learn. And should and ought to are two important modal verbs to know about. Alida, good afternoon. Buenas tardes. But you are in Patagonia, so it's still morning there. So buenos dias. So yeah, we're going to look at modal verbs of should and ought to today. Before we start, make sure you subscribe if you're new and like the video as well. We're now up to 542 subscribers. We're getting close to 550, which is so things are looking good. Make sure you share. So the first thing we need to think about when we are going to talk about should and ought to is because they have a very similar meaning. They have a very similar use. The way we structure things needs to be slightly different. And we need to also make sure that we know what situation we are going to use them in. They are not going to be like could, and they're not going to be like would. So there are noticeable differences when it comes to using should. So I'm going to start off just with, we'll just look at should to begin with, and then we'll bring in ought to later on as well. So I'm going to write a couple of sentences and we'll see what you guys end up doing. Okay, if you guys can follow the meaning, I'm going to give you some options as well. So you should go to. Okay, B. Okay, C. And E. Okay, so you got A, B, C, D, and E. Now let's look at the options. Two, 3, 4. Yeah, I think that should be okay for now. So you got A, you should go to the Vatican. B, you shouldn't need to buy the ticket. Ah, that's the one. Okay, so you got A, you should go to the Vatican. B, you shouldn't need to buy a ticket beforehand. When you use the term beforehand, by the way, it's before doing something. Okay, so beforehand is a good one to know. I should just say that there's a typo in that one. It should be like this. Okay, beforehand is one word, not two words, but before an action. Okay, beforehand means before an action. You've got C, you should ask Jane if it's okay. E, you shouldn't have used that kind of language. You got option 1, which is to express or to show regret about a past action. Regret is you are sorry about something. The past action was not a good one, really. You then got through 2, to state was a better outcome in the past. To state a better outcome in the past, actually. I'm just going to rewrite that over here. That's not great English. That should be to state better outcomes in the past. To state better outcomes. To state better outcomes. Sorry. Yes, no, I need to take away the what because that's not great English. To state better outcomes in the past. Yeah, that's better. So 2 is to state better outcomes in the past. This is obviously talking about something that's uh, an alternative past in this sense. 3 to give advice, and this is to do with future action, and then 4, the probable outcome in the future. And this is more to do with procedures as well. But it doesn't always have to be procedures. It doesn't always have to be procedures. And number 4, what I'm going to say is here, when we think of number 4, think of it in terms of what you think is going to happen, or what you think is not going to happen. Okay? That's another way of thinking about 4. So a leader has said A goes with 3. So we're saying 3 is to give advice, future, and that is you should go to the Vatican. Okay. She said B goes with 4. So we're saying that B, you shouldn't need to buy a ticket beforehand, goes with 4, the probable outcome in the future. Okay. We've got C. She thinks C goes with 3. So C again is to give advice in terms of the future. You should ask Jane if it's okay. Okay. We've then got D, which is 2, according to a leader. Let's see. So 2 is to state a better outcome to state better outcomes in the past. This would be you shouldn't need to. Let's see. What did she say again? D. So just remind ourselves, I should have asked her before going ahead. Okay. And finally, we've got E and 1. So 1 is to express or show regret about a past action, which is you shouldn't have used that kind of language. Okay, so those are a leader's answers. If you agree with a leader, please make sure you let me know in the live chat. Leondina, 1 goes with E, so that's going to be the same as a leader. 2 goes with B, so that's a different answer. 3 goes with A, that's the same answer, and C, so that's the same answer as a leader, and 4 apparently goes with D. So there are only 2 differences between Leondina's answer and a leader's answer, and that is between options B and options D. Roberto has the same answers in terms of A goes with 3, B goes with 2. That would be the same as Leondina. C goes with 3. That's the same as a leader and Leondina. 3. C goes with 3. Yes, that's the same as both. D goes with 1. That's going to be the same as D goes with 1. And E goes with 1. Okay, so your last 2 answers there are slightly different. Okay. So the correct answers are as follows. Okay, and I'm going to put them side by side. So if we think of A, okay, you should go to the Vatican. This here, the answer is going to be number 1. Okay, so A goes with 1. A goes with 1. You should go to the Vatican. This is to express. Oh, sorry. No. Cancel that. I picked up the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, let me do that again. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, let me try again. Make sure I click on the right one. Yeah, A goes with 3. Sorry, A goes with 3. So you should go to the Vatican. This is to give advice in terms of a future action. So A goes with 3. B, you've got you shouldn't need to buy a ticket beforehand. Okay, so if we look at that, B, beforehand again is one word. Some of you have said 2, some of you have said 4. This here is going to be 4. Okay, this is going to be, I'm going to go with this one, okay? So B goes with 4. You shouldn't need to buy a ticket beforehand. This is, you shouldn't need to, you're saying here that the probable outcome in the future, what you think is going to happen or what you think is not going to happen. This is often to do with procedures, and that is true. You've got a strong level of certainty here. Here you're looking at, anything from 70 plus percentage in terms of certainty, anything certain plus. Anything that is 70 or over is probability. So this is an example. We've got 3 to, C. You should ask Jane, see if it's okay. This is the same as A, to give advice on a future action, okay? A future possible action. You've then got D. So over here, I should have asked her before going ahead. So if that's the sentence, I should have asked her before going ahead. You guys have said, some of you have said 1. Alida said 2. This is more or less going to be to state better outcomes in the past. To state better outcomes in the past. So 4 goes with 2. 4 goes with 2 on this one. So what am I saying? 4 goes with 2. D goes with 2. D goes with 2. And finally, we've got E, which is you shouldn't have used that kind of language. And all of you, I think, have said 1 for this, and you'd be correct. It is going to be 1, which is to express or to show regret about a past action. Okay. Evelina says, sorry, I have curiosity in UK. They are Catholic. Good question. Okay. The answer to that is based on population and due to a lot of people from Poland, there are latest studies have shown that I think about 70% of people in the UK identify as Christian, and at least half of those people are Catholic. The other half are going to be Church of England or Protestant, because we've got the Church of England in the UK. So out of 70, if roughly 70% of people see themselves as Christian, about half are Catholic. But it's just like Britain's history with Europe is a similar story with Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. There's a lot of history there, and it depends what part. For instance, Glasgow is historically half Catholic, half Protestant, and Northern Ireland is very famous for certain things as well. Okay, so let's go on with this. We're going to just remind ourselves, okay? I'm just going to remind you guys of the options because this is definitely quite difficult. I think there's lots of difficult elements to this. So I'm just going to show you we're just going to go through the options again to make sure we do this properly, okay? You've got option 1, you've got option 2, you've got option 3, and you've got options 4, okay? So we're going to do this again. I'm going to put some more sentences below, and you guys need to link them to their correct one, okay? So let's go for the first one. A. Um, what A, you shouldn't go to Alaska in the winter. B, B, you shouldn't have sent that message. C, you should have asked me beforehand. And let's see, am I missing anything here? And D, you should make the film on time. Okay, guys, so you got A, B, C, D. Have a go. See if you can link them to the correct ones here. See if you can link them to the correct ones. Roberto is very quick to say A goes with 3, B goes with 1, C goes with 2, and D goes with 4. Alida has the exact same answers. Okay, guys, if you agree with these two, come in and let me know. Maybe you have the exact same answers, or maybe you have a different answer. If you do think you have a different answer, let me know. But if you agree with Roberto and Alida, just tell me, yeah, I've got the same answers. I mean, this is just the build-up stage of trying to see if we understand what is going on here. I should say that should can also be used to suggest ideas. There's a difference between we use it in the same way to give advice or to suggest ideas. It just depends on the context and strength that we can have a look at if we have time. Okay. Evelina, Irina F, or anyone else would like to come in. Maybe you guys want to say if you agree with these two. If not, I'll tell you what the answers are, and we'll move on to the next question, which is more to do with the grammar structure of what we're looking at here. Leondina says A is 3, B is 1, C is 4, D is 2. Only one slight difference there. And Evelina says that she agrees with Alida. So just to confirm, guys, you are saying A is 3. You shouldn't go to Alaska in the winter to give advice, future action. Irina F says that she agrees with Roberto. Well, guys, A does go with 3. That is the correct answer. You guys are saying B goes with 1. B goes with 1. So B is you shouldn't have sent that message. 1 is to express regret about the past action. Yes, that is correct. C, all of you, most of you have said C goes with 2. One of you has said C goes with 4. Okay, so C is you should have asked me beforehand. You should have asked me beforehand. Okay, this one here is going to be 2 because you are talking about what the better outcome in the past. You're talking about the past and you're talking about what the better outcome. You're talking about a better outcome in the past. That's what I'm trying to say. You're trying to talk about a better outcome in the past. Don't forget, this is the past wasn't good, and you're saying what the better outcome really would have been if you had done something in this case. And finally, you guys are saying D goes with 4. You should make the film on time. The probable outcome in the future, what you think is going to happen. Excellent, good. So D does go with 4. Okay, now let's have a little look to do with the grammar structure. Okay, so let's take two examples. You got A as an example here. You should make the film on time, and then let's go with an alternative one. B, you should have asked me beforehand. Okay, the question, link them to the correct ones. So C, should plus and 2. Should plus is just your normal verb. I should point out, no preposition of to. So Alida says A goes with 2 and B goes with 1. Okay. I can tell you, because we don't need to waste time thinking about it, is that yes, A goes with 2, B does go with 1. Yes, that is correct. So let's see if we can now link them again to the next one. 3. Talk about the future. Or present. Or to talk about past actions. So which one goes with which? A or B? Which one goes with which? Okay. And then this kind of ties this up in terms of the grammar, in terms of the structure, and then we'll look at ought to. Now, in a lot of things, you're going to see some sites, some books say that you use should to talk about the present and future. But as you can see, we have this structure where we can talk about the past. So let's see if you guys can link it correctly. I mean, if you are saying now I'm not going to give it away. I'll first see what you guys say. Okay, good, excellent. Yes, A goes with 3 and B goes with 4. That is the correct answer. Good, excellent. Well done, guys. And B goes with 4. Yes, that's correct. Because if you use, and I just want to focus on this, okay, for 1 second, okay, you should have asked me beforehand. You are talking about the past. Yes, the structure is basically should with the present perfect structure, okay? But the time in which you're talking about, not the grammar structure, you can't use it in a past grammar form, but you can use it to talk about past actions. And this is really important. This is the same with would, could, and should. If you're going to talk about the past, you would still use a present perfect structure. You can't take should and you can't take would and put it into a past simple. It doesn't work. We cannot do that. We can only use it in a present structure, for example. But we can use it to talk about the past. So that's an important thing to know about that. Okay. All right, guys, let's move on to this question. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 questions and you guys can give me the answers. Then we'll move on to ought to. And the thing about ought to is that there's just 1 or 2 differences. Alida says, why are you so complicated? Are you talking about English or just me? If I am being really complicated today, I'm really sorry. It's not my intention. It's definitely a little bit difficult to do this without a traditional board. Oh, English, you mean? Oh, that's something else. We like to be complicated. This is because we like to complain as well. And the fact that English is a combination of Latin and Germanic language as well. Don't worry, as soon as you know how to use it, it makes perfect sense. So let's have a little look. I'm going to ask you guys 2 questions. Have a go at trying to answer them. Okay, so A. Do you think people should be free to travel over over the Christmas period? Okay. And B, should we have closed every city as soon as the virus became a problem? Okay, so we are talking about places and directions, but I've just gone for places at the moment. I haven't got on to the directions yet. I'm going to come on to some questions regarding directions in the next one. So have a little look, guys. Feel free to. Oh, that should be a question mark. Sorry. Should we have closed every city as soon as the virus became a problem? Well, that's to do with places. Both of these questions are to do with places, really. And do you think people should be free to travel over the Christmas period? So let me know, guys. Feel free to answer just one of them, and you can give me your answer. If I were to ask a direction question, I'll put a direction question is. Do you guys like what's the quick quest? If you like, guys, you can answer this one. This one's going to be a form of a direction question. What's the quickest way? The thing is, I can't ask this direction question because we don't all know Malta. I need to think about a direction question. Roberto says, for A, no, I don't think so. People should not be free to travel over the Christmas period, but should still stay at home. But should stay at home. There, yeah, you don't need to put still, should stay at home. For B, I disagree. We shouldn't have closed every city as soon as the virus became a problem. Maybe just the most populated ones. Okay, good answer. Leondina says, I think it would be better if people shouldn't travel over the Christmas period. Nice use, nice sentence there, Leondina. Well done. Okay, guys, let's now move on to ought to. Now, the first thing you guys need to know about ought to is it's more formal. It's seen as more formal. Formal. It's more formal than should, but it has a similar meaning. So you're going to use it for advice. You're going to use it to, well, mainly advice rather than just suggestions. Should can be used for suggestions and advice. Advice. Sorry. As for ought to, usually just more advice or strong recommendations as well. Okay, let's have a little look. Uh, Evelina says, I think the people should stay at home. Good sentence, Evelina. You don't need the article the. I think, but think, a K instead of a G sound. So I think people should stay at home. And then you've got a very good sentence. So A, you ought to, oh, I forgot the verb. I forgot the verb there. Dear me. You ought to take the underground through Green Garden if you want to make the meeting on time. B. You ought not to have asked such an insensitive question. C. You ought to have left earlier. And D. They ought to leave early. So link them to their possible meanings. 1. One, to state what you think the best thing would be. The thing could be action, decision, whatever it might be. 2, what the better option would have been in the past. 3, actually, we can probably just summarize A, B, C, D with those two options, actually. Yeah. Yeah. You can probably summarize A, B, C, D with 1 and 2. So to state what you think the best thing would be, this is when you're talking about the future or maybe a present action. And 2, what the better option would have been in the past. So a leader says A goes with 1, B goes with 2, C goes with 2, D goes with 1. Roberto has the exact same answers. So guys, let me know if you have the same answers to this as Alida and Roberto. I think I'll come back to this topic though next week, where I'll do more things to do with directions. Really, I think we can talk about places and directions. I'll come back to this topic next week because I think directions, there's just a lot more things to look at. And I haven't really looked at it today, so we'll revisit this topic next week properly. If you guys agree with Alida and Roberto, let me know in the live chat section. Leondina says A is 1, B is 2, C is 2, D is 1. So you guys are giving me the exact same answers. Evelina also agrees. Okay, so let's see if you guys are right. So you're saying A goes with 1. A is you ought to take the underground through Green Garden if you want to make the meeting on time. To state what you think the better thing would be, future or present action. That is correct. You're saying B, it goes with 2. You ought not to have asked such an insensitive question. What the better option would have been in the past. Correct. C, you're saying is also 2. You ought to have left earlier. That is also correct. So D, you're saying goes with 1. They ought to leave early. Yes, that is correct. Okay, how to create these sentences. Alida says, can you also use should or ought to? Present perfect continuous. Okay, present perfect continuous. You should have been doing that. You ought to have been doing that. Yes. Yes is the answer to your question. Those are 2 examples. Okay, so let's have a little look. Alida says, I should have been working by the time my boss arrived. I should have been working on the project by the time my... No, that's not going to quite work because you put in a time maker. If you're going to use these 2, try avoid a time maker. It's going to make it a little bit harder. But there's a lot of things to come into that. That's probably a lesson in itself, to be honest. For now, if you do use it without a time marker. Okay, guys, let's look at the key differences here. Okay, ought to. Okay, so let me just get A and B. And C. Okay, see if you can link these to the correct sentences. Okay, grammar structures. And 3. Okay, guys, you've got 1, 2, 3. You need to link them to A, B, C. And Roberto was very quick to say A is 1, B is 3, C is 2. Do you guys agree? A is 1, B is 3, C is 2. And I can confirm that A is 1. B is 3. And C is 2. Good. Well done, guys. Okay, so final task. You need to choose between ought to and should. Ought to and should. 1. 3. And 4. And 5. Let's see. So Roberto says 1 is should, 2 is ought, 3 is should, 4 is ought, and 5 is ought. 1 is shouldn't. Oh yeah, that's the point. I may have stopped. Yeah, that's fine. 2 is ought, 3 is should, 4 is ought, and 5 is ought not. Okay, guys, I can tell you that 1 is this is negative, so this is going to be shouldn't. 2, this is going to be positive, and it's got 2, so this is going to be ought. 3, this is going to be should. 4, this is going to be ought, and 5 is ought not. Okay, so those are the answers for those questions. We've now gone over time, but very well done today, guys. So for those of you who got most of this right, well done. This is difficult. Should and ought to. This is difficult. So I don't expect everybody to get this. I would say when it comes to using modal verbs, should and ought are one of the hardest ones to use. These are one of the hardest ones to use correctly, I would say. So really well done. So to everyone who commented in today's live lesson, Alida, Roberto, Evelina, Irina F, thank you so much for your contribution in today's lesson. Evelina, I know that you're only elementary, but really well done. Leandina, thank you for your contribution as well today. Thank you very much. Make sure you like the lesson, guys, and have a good evening as well. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 3 o'clock, with might, may, and must. So that's going to be tomorrow. And the topic is going to be crime. And I will stick to the topic tomorrow. You're welcome, Roberto. You're welcome, Evelina. And you're welcome as well, Alida. Take care. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much. And have a great evening. Bye for now.